What's good, everybody? It's Meatman. I hope that you're all doing well and taking care of yourself during the holidays. Whether you celebrate Christmas or any other cultural event, I hope you're spending it around some people you care about, whether that's family, friends, or sinking yourself into something that you like. This is my first ever episode of a fortnightly series I'm calling Patch Notes with Meatman, giving me more of a casual outlet to talk about things on off weeks that are more like a casual talk than the serious essay vibes of the main videos. By the end of this, if you have any feedback, I'd like to know it. Just comment it down below and I'll try to incorporate it into my writing style and the sort of structure I lay out. But rest assured I won't give up on uploading for this series in particular, because uploading twice a month kind of sucks if I'm being honest. Anyway, let's get to it. The Metaverse video has been going amazingly with huge viewership for a channel of my size, but I do want to critique some shortcomings and explain some aspects of the video that I feel might not be as obvious from a writing standpoint. Firstly, I shied away from talking purely about the technical aspects of things in the work culture and leadership regarding Oculus and the meta development wing, because I feel like it's enough to understand that it just misaligns with what I view as meaningful aspects of design that really contribute to fostering that connection that was the overarching theme of the video. But judging by people's feedback, I think they understood that this was the case. It would have been very easy to make an hour-long video criticizing Zuckerberg and the managerial decisions that he made that conflict with other managers and things like that. But I felt that for brevity, this kind of essay concerning connection should focus more on the actual products that they've produced and the consequences of that, which I did, as opposed to discussing every little managerial decision that was made by Zuckerberg. It was a pretty personal look at how I view connecting to others and how it's connected me with others that are important to me. It was almost like a journal entry as much as it was an essay, and I'm pretty happy with it overall, but there are some things I actually forgot to write into the script. First off, one of the biggest problems that Horizon Worlds has is that you cannot use legs. And how you get around this is paying $1,500 US to get a MetaQuest Pro. And the reason you have to do that is because the MetaQuest 2, all the tracking stuff is inside the headset and inside the controllers. So it doesn't know where your legs are or how they're moving. It can tell you're moving, but it can't animate your legs moving because it doesn't know how they're moving. At $1,500 US, you're paying $500 more than the Valve Index, which to many is the flagship tier hardware that you can get when it comes to VR. Better yet, with $1,500, you could get a gaming PC and a really good monitor and really, broaden your horizons with PC gaming. So if you want to burn $1,500 on having leg movement in Horizon Worlds, which no one you know is playing, that's how you get it. The next thing I'd like to apologize for is the footage being a bit on the lighter side, especially towards the end of the video. It's actually really hard to make and find usable footage for a lot of topics unless I get it myself, and I don't have a Quest headset, so I was kind of out of luck for that. I think that about covers any hangups I had about the video. Ultimately, I tried pretty hard with the script and I'm constantly improving my writing and research, but I never take that as a sign that I should keep things the same. I read every comment that people leave and I try to seriously take on board things that people say on the community tab as well as in the actual video. Like, I read all of those things and I try to really stimulate my thinking about how I'm gonna write what I write next. And it sort of highlights my blind spots when it comes to writing, because writing is not my thing. It's ironic you wouldn't think that because I do a lot of writing, at least these days, but my thing used to be art and I gave up on that when I was in my teens. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm an artist, but writing is relatively new to me. And I wrote essays in college for years and I've written reports, I've written all these like serious documents and things like that, but this is the first time that I'm going out of my way to write something where I'm trying to be palatable, easy to understand, and clear in what I'm saying. And that's a really new process to me, but I'm taking it all in stride. I'm taking on any feedback I get and I'm having fun with it overall. So I'm gonna keep expanding my research strategy and really try and become a better writer. Moving on to recent news, apparently major streamers are saying that there are no good games anymore, and I don't think that's really true. Check these clips out and try not to smile at least a little.
It's not, I don't know, things just aren't thought out, man. Fuck! There's nothing else to play. I want to play something. I want to have fun.
I feel like if you only seek out the top cut algorithm farmer games like Overwatch 2, the latest Call of Duty, or any new live service game, then yeah, most games that come out probably do seem bad. Because the population of games you're playing are just cash cow games that happen to have a lot of viewership. But when you've got new games that are really engaging both on the indie and AAA front, you probably shouldn't take that too seriously. Content creation can be a frustrating job to consistently put your face up for everyone and play games, and I say that with no irony, even though it sounds like I'm taking the piss, because it can be pretty annoying to entertain a live audience, and if you don't have something that's constantly engaging, maybe you feel frustrated or embarrassed, I don't know. But that doesn't necessarily necessitate the assertion that gaming kinda sucks now in general. I would argue the opposite, actually. My only advice is to push out of your comfort zone and try something different. If every new live service game you're playing is disappointing you, then stop playing those games. I guarantee you that there are more game publishers than Activision, Blizzard, Ubisoft, EA. Like, you could just look on Steam, sort by games that have high user reviews, filter out by different tags, then maybe you'll find something that you actually come to love even though you don't expect it. My honest take is this: maybe these content creators are just burnt out, but they can't be the ones that have the problem. They can't be burnt out, it's games that are flawed. Cause I sure as hell don't feel that way, and neither do many of my friends. Maybe they're finally wisening up to the fact that a lot of live service games are complete trash. And without mainstream traction, people probably wouldn't give them a second look because they're functionally incomplete, they are terribly monetized, and their systems and gameplay aren't good. I don't know, maybe that's worth thinking about. Let me know what you think down below. On to what I've been playing, and forgive me if I start gushing, but I've been playing a hell of a lot of Crisis Core Reunion lately. This game is going to be the subject of a review from me. The finer details I'm not really sure about now, since I really want to play FF7 again before I dive into any sort of lore aspects of the game, but it's a blast. The overhauled combat alone makes it worthwhile for me, and anyone who's played it already on PSP, I strongly recommend it to you, because you're getting a pretty faithful remake with a complete combat makeover, which modernizes the game while keeping its core mechanics intact. In a nutshell, you can dodge to gain iframes, you can block big attacks, you can actually stagger enemies from using their limit breaks, but not all attacks are avoidable, and you can enjoy the updated visuals for the original CGI cutscenes, uncompressed, as well as completely redone visuals for the overall game. This game is just raw as hell, and everyone I know that's playing it is loving it a lot as well. I'm less enthusiastic about the voice acting for the English dub, but that's just my opinion. I miss the original heavy-hitting performance from Rick Gomez playing Zack Fair, but with that said, I've heard people are going out of their way to harass the new voice actor, so I think that people should not do that. I mean, if you don't like the performance, you have choices. You can just change the dub to Japanese like me, and enjoy that for what it is. With that said, I really recommend the Japanese dub if you haven't listened to it before. It's really good, and the guy who plays Zack Fair is one of my favorite voice actors. And he's married to the voice actress for Aerith in real life, which is pretty cool. All in all, it's a super faithful remake. There's no hidden surprises or anything like that. It's just a combat upgrade, new coat of paint, really great game underneath. I've also been playing Warhammer 40k Darktide, and I could get into how badly optimized this game is, but I just don't buy it. It's a really great game, but it does not work. If you watch SkillUp's video on it, which I'll link down below, he uses a 4090 and it still drops below 60 regularly. And I imagine most people aren't rocking a 4090, so yeah, not the best. Before I go forward with this next game's discussion, I'm going to timestamp when I stop talking about it, and you can click there if you're affected by things like photosensitive epilepsy or anything like that where the strobing lights might affect you. A game that is worth your time is Vampire Survivors. This game is a roguelite which you can get for like, I don't know how much it is in US dollars, but it's like a couple bucks. And that's after a price increase. And if you buy the game plus DLC, I think it's like $7 Australian or something like that. And it is too cheap. It is such an addicting game where the synergies, the combinations, and the different characters really make every run feel distinct from one another. And you know, that's roguelites in general, but this game, I don't know what it is, but it's so simple but executed so well that it's like pushing every button in my brain. Like, I'm going off script here and just talking about what I feel, and I can't put into words because it's just that good. It's really addicting, it's really affordable, And if you've only got a few bucks to spare for, you know, gaming this Christmas, I recommend getting this game because it is just a blast to play. A lot of people are playing it, at least people that I know are playing it, and when you get Vampire Survivor's brain, it's over for you. It's just that good. It's got the juice in it. I don't know. I strongly recommend you check it out if you're into roguelites. But do not check it out if you're really affected by flashing lights and things like that. As you'll see on screen, it's not nice on the eyes. Briefly touching on movies that I've watched, I strongly recommend that you watch Glass Onion. It's just come out on Netflix. It's a sequel, but not a direct sequel to Knives Out. You've got Detective Benoit Blanc again, and he's trying to solve a new mystery. I don't really want to get into it too much, but if you've been reading the news, even in passing recently, if you watch this movie, you'll be smiling from ear to ear because it makes some pretty blatant social commentary that, you know, it doesn't come off as preachy or really forced. It's executed really well, and I think Rian Johnson's done a great job here. Anyway, check it out. It's on Netflix, I believe. Great movie, great pacing, great acting. Check it out. As for anime I'm watching Gundam The Witch from Mercury, which has been a pretty enjoyable series to this point, and I'm just waiting for the final episode of the first part. Without spoiling too much, the prologue sets up an incredible tone and endgame for the overall narrative, but the first 3 to 4 episodes might have you thinking that the show is a bit unserious for a space opera, especially for a franchise entry of Mobile Suit Gundam, which is pretty dark in terms of its themes. However, the writer wrote Code Geass, so I feel like that speaks for itself. If you're worried that it's a bit dry at the beginning like me, rest assured it picks up greatly. The blooming romance aspect of the show is great, but early on the political intrigue is, I guess, a lot lower than the prologue sets up, because that episode had you bombarded with every known human emotion, seriously. It wasn't as brutal as Gundam Thunderbolt, but it definitely had that shock factor that the first episodes of Gundam tend to have. My fears were abated, however, once we got to around episode 4, where the political aspect of the school duels starts tying back into the political affiliations of all the children, and doesn't seem as juvenile and meaningless as you might otherwise believe. At least I thought that, because, you know, you go from a really dark first episode to sort of slice of life almost, with some pretty serious stakes for sure, but not as serious as the prologue, which is why I was like, might have to let this one cook for a little bit. I'll admit, I was quick to judge, but I was glad to be wrong. The show is targeting a much broader audience with its writing and setting, but series fans will pick up on the very obvious references to previous series, so I'd say that this show is probably a pretty good place to start Gundam, whether you're a series fan or not, because it's not written in a way that's supposed to keep new people out. And you might see some gatekeeping on social media, but, you know, when aren't people being stupid on Twitter or something? It's a new timeline, these are new original characters, and you're not going to be worse for wear if you don't understand the nods to old series. Without spoiling anything, I feel like they carry the torch of the name Mobile Suit Gundam really well, and I had apprehension in the beginning, but I feel like I kind of got played into thinking that. In short, great writing, interesting characters, a coming-of-age story tied in with political exploits, as well as romantic tensions. There's a lot to love here. And if you're like me and you're thrown off by the episodes after the prologue being a little bit silly and, you know, juvenile, just have faith that it gets better, because it's deliberate. It picks up a lot, and it's honestly one of the best anime airing right now. The other series I was watching is Bocchi The Rock, and that's complete now, so you can watch it all in one sitting if you want to. The story follows Hitori Goto, who is kind of a loner, and she doesn't really have friends because she's really socially anxious. She's pretty passionate about music and gets into a band, and a lot of cool stuff happens. I know that's super vague, but I don't really want to ruin it for you. I strongly suggest it not as a band anime, but as a show that takes a simple concept of loneliness and awkwardness and plays into it really well with the music setting. It utilizes a variety of fun and unique animation styles and expressions to convey the emotions of the protagonist, and even though the premise isn't deep, and that's not a bad thing by the way, I think that everyone who watches it will enjoy how earnest and sincere the writing feels. The presentation is so, I don't know, memorable that I feel like anyone who watches it all the way through is gonna take away those memories, not just memes from it, but like they're gonna feel like this was a really memorable thing that they watched. Sometimes you watch such a short anime that is so special. That's why people really love Nichijou, but for me this series kind of came out of nowhere because I wasn't reading the manga and it really blew me away. It was simple, it does its concept extremely well, and it has really subtle details that aren't supposed to make things more deep, but they're supposed to add on to the expressiveness and the presentation of the overall plot, and it's just a great time. It's honestly a top 3 anime right now, next to Gundam Witch and Bleach, in my opinion. If I'm being a bit vague on these, it's because I want to sing praises without spoiling the experience for you. Ultimately, you can watch these and not like them, that's up to you. You know, I can't tell you what to think and how to feel. This is just how I feel about it. Going forward, I'm probably going to mix up the level of detail depending on what I think is worth spoiling or sort of delving into to sell people on things. But in general, I don't want to spoil the key reveals and things like that because I hate being spoiled. So I totally get that. That about wraps up all the media I'm engaging with right now, but there's one more thing I want to talk about in this final section. I want to recommend you a song at the end of every video so that you can get to know my music tastes, and if you hate it, that's fine. If you're curious, my most listened to genre these days is Japanese rock, but I listen to anything from math rock to post rock to top 40 to EDM to hardstyle to trance. I'm not picky. This week's song of the week is I Just Wanted to Make You Something Beautiful by Industries of the Blind, and I'm going to link it below for Spotify, YouTube, whatever. But it's from a post-rock EP that I listened to way back when I was a much younger individual than I am now. And I'm not that old. I know that I always talk like I'm really old and ancient, but I'm honestly not that old. This artist only has like 2 or 3 songs, I believe, and I don't think they've made any since this song's come out. If I could describe how it makes me feel, this song is a journey. I can't really tell you what it means to you or what you'll think about it, but as the instrumentals get stronger, as the song goes on and they add more and more in, I really can't describe how that makes me feel, but it's one of my favorite songs ever. So if you can appreciate the somber mood that's not overly depressing or anything like that, but you know, you just want to feel relaxed and enjoy a good song, I strongly recommend it. And I hope you enjoy it too. If you have any thoughts on it, let me know in the comments below or reply to the pinned comment. Any works. Anyway, this has been your patch notes for the week, and I've been Meatman. And if you have any feedback, remember to leave it below. But I want to say one more thing. I know the holidays can be a time where people are expected to be really cheery and filled with excitement, and I know the reality of life is actually a lot more complicated than that. It's mad easy to just, you know, say that people should be happy that it's the holidays or it's a time of celebration or anything like that, but, you know, you've made it this far, and regardless of what you're going through, you can hear what I'm saying here, so you've made it through the year. Certainly, it's been a mad trying time, especially in the last few years, especially if you're from places that were locked down. You probably really socially isolated, like you didn't see people at all, where you couldn't do anything except get groceries and things like that. But I hope that you're all proud of how far you've come, and if you feel some things need the switch up, then there's always tomorrow to do that. Be proud even if you have regrets. That's the kind of way that I live life. You can always change who you are tomorrow, but appreciate that you made it here in spite of everything. Times were tough, but you survived. You're here now, right? So please take care, be kind to yourselves, and leave a comment if you wish. Any feedback would be appreciated. But other than that, I'll catch you guys next week for my next essay. I'll let you know if there are any delays for it, because I do have plans on New Year's Eve, but I should be fully wrapped up on the 30th, but I'll keep you posted. Anyway, it's been a great year with you guys. Take it easy.